The interstitial spaces, the end of theory.
That answer would be innocent. Interaction 9.
Have you ever thought that technologies are funny?
Should we continue to talk about stress, though that may stress us more?
I've also seen how theory does it, though for me at least.
Having listened to hours of a criminal podcast series on my flight back home, the answer naturally flowed into me, occupying the space of a laugh. If we reach the end of theory, we have either exhausted every possible avenue of possibility based on the evidence, or we have reached some sort of truth that lets us go home for the day. Interaction 10.
There is no logic.
Should we talk about how I'm going to be on the, I originally typed the as he, and think we can also talk about he road for 16 hours tomorrow and can send you descriptions of what I see in the context of a moving car? Which reminds me of Danielle Dutton's interpolations in Here Comes Kitty.
The problem with
The form they took recognized the quickly alternating blurred visions of a watchful passenger and how one blink can shatter the whole image. With this in mind, I arrived at your second question. It problematizes our easy assumptions, but does it humanize our difficult problems? Interaction 12.
I am techno.
Should we talk about how you intimidated me at first because of your insane, I apologize for the word, repertoire of knowledge, but how I've come to think of you as a dear friend and inspirational writer and now a collaborator? The answer, though, is yes and no. Interaction 13.
Word.
Should we talk about Craigslist?
That is the theory. That's what theory is about for me. Lives on the boundary, being factored in.
I think the human behind the theory gets brought to the surface only if there's a public opinion of an injustice surrounding the theorized. Interaction 14.
Hi Carolina, I wasn't sure if you saw my
Here's
message
the
or not.
first misconnections ad that popped up for the Boulder area.
How about you?
If the expression behind the theory is a neutral one, then the human's swallowed by the theory itself. Interaction 15.
Hope you're having a good
I
break.
saw you walking through the snow today and gave you a ride home.
Yes.
The theory
definitely
becomes
feeling some.
mechanized. Interaction 16.
Do you have any suggestions for how you'd like to start the collaborative
I'm
project?
still in love with you.
I am in the process of deciding how to lead my spiritual teacher in the spiritual community I've been part of
It
since
loses its
2010.
arms and legs, replaces its rib cage with a bulletproof vest. Interaction 18.
There is no logic.
I think it's weird that I can
Do you have
copy and
any
paste
books that have
that.
ever changed
What
your
is
world?
theory about for me? Interaction 19.
Ha 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 ha.
It seems oddly too personal,
Well,
even though I
this
should
book,
agree with the
Mystery of Love,
platform.
changed mine.
If it's online, intimacy flatlines. It's about a
Interaction
see-through
22.
overlay of text to
Hi,
see
Carolina.
through an
I
overlay
wasn't sure
of
if you
text,
saw my message or not.
even if it's in the direction of snow.
I went to more retreats.
The white
I
man
started studying
dominated
online.
theory classrooms, composing the 3/4 Pac-Man piece of the
Interaction
pie chart.
25. Have you ever thought that technology
This
is
one you
funny?
replied to.
We talked for 10 hours, and I had other work I had to get done too for the next day, but the intimacy of the conversation was more important.
Do you have any thoughts on this
My life,
matter?
too. Interaction 26. There is no logic.
You take the active step to dim your coffee in the overhead lights, and you make faces and noises at the rearranged alphabet keyboard
so I stayed
strokes
talking to her
equals the
until
pit pattern
midnight.
of warm rain until you can make sense of this particular mask of wet or west vastness. I don't have a particular book that has shaped
Interaction
me, but I
28.
do have an author,
I am
Susan
techno-laughing.
Sontag. I'm sure you have just as many, if not more, stresses, but
So
are you
part of
wearing
my
them
stress is
differently?
having to unravel and make sense of 6 years of study and teaching.
Her influence on me was in no way
of my way of
spiritual, or
being,
maybe in some way
energy,
spiritual,
mind.
since writing tends to fit
Interaction
into frames
29.
of that category
Word.
above or about my fireplace. Are they wearing you?
I have to figure out what comes next.
Warming.
Interaction 33. Have you ever thought that technologies are
Should
funny?
we talk about Here Comes Kitty and how Richard Kraft thought it was funny to deface a comic book story about Nazis? It's really fun to put words in their mouths, even though the comic book was actually a story about a fictional war hero who's been celebrated in Poland for ages and originated
And
in a
there's the
popular
homework
television
and writing
series
that
that helped
appeared to
many
you and
Polish
care about.
citizens endure and even honor their grief in the post-war years. Traveling west or
Interaction
west
34.
into snow.
There is no logic.
Should we talk about how you intimidated me at first because of your insane, I apologize for the word, repertoire of knowledge, but how I've come to think of you as a dear friend and inspirational writer
Today
and
was
now a
my
collaborator?
birthday, and
Reminds me of
there is a lot of
the
stress
experiment of the
too.
West has
Interaction
failed.
35. Ha 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 ha.
Should we
ha,
talk
ha.
about Craigslist?
Maybe stress is a kind of static or snow where the analog and the digital
I
life
appreciated your
converge.
comments on what it means to go in the
Interaction
direction of
36.
snow.
I am techno-laughing.
Here's the first misconnections ad
Maybe
that
this
popped
is
up
where
for the
theory
Boulder
ends,
area.
and we look down a street to the vanishing point in the snow.
Your having surfaced digital snow, static, reinforced the image of a radio, especially police radio, in my mind and
Interaction
minds.
37. Word.
I saw you walking through the snow today and gave you a
I
ride
don't know.
home. With my partner, on the same night each year, wherever we are, we turn on the police radio and
Interaction
listen to
38.
it cuddled
Hi,
together in the
Carolina.
dark.
I wasn't sure if you saw my
I'm
message
still
or
in
not.
love with you.
I'm enjoying your notes.
think this speaks to digital
Interaction
intimacy.
39. Hope you're having a good break.
It hurts that you're a stranger.
I'm particularly enjoying the play of these two moments, particular mask of wet.
I know I have
arrested
been turning
last
every
sex.
thought over to crime, but hear me out. There's a professional conversation occurring between two or more parties, yet the seeming intimacy is public, so much so that my partner and I can spy on it from the comfort
Do
of
you
our
have
own
any
bed.
suggestions for how you'd like to start the
If it's
collaborative project?
online, intimacy flatlines.
So while I do think that intimacy may be felt in a digital space between two or more parties, there's also an unsuspected force
Interaction
of the party
41.
looking in, listening. Have you ever thought that technologies are funny?
It seems oddly too personal, even though I should agree with the platform. If it's
I find
online,
myself wanting
intimacy
to come back to
flatlines.
this last note in particular.
Intimacy because unawareness.
Interaction 42, there is no logic.
I've rambled on for
I'm
long
appreciating
enough.
the voice of your writing just the same.
I doubt the police actively think about the
Interaction
citizens
43.
currently plugged
Ha,
into
ha,
the
ha,
radio.
ha, 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 ha.
Let me know how you would
What
like to
would it mean to
proceed.
proceed in the direction of snow?
What are you thinking in terms of culminating this
Interaction
project
44.
at a stress
I am
point?
techno-laughing.
Even if it's in the direction of
Would
snow.
we drive into the vast snowy landscape of an analog television set in a digital world like white noise?
Mandated by the due date, of course.
Interaction 45, word.
Sorry.
Would we listen to white noise audio to cover up the stress that obliterates all sign of focus?
I have one idea inspired by the
Interaction
Yesterday
46.
Project by Sandra and
Hi,
Ben
Carolina. I wasn't sure if you saw my message or not.
Your first email got buried under looming stress, kind of like a book that you intentionally place under a lampshade with the intention of reading it, but you forget or reprioritize, and then the dimmer contradicts itself in
Do the
writing,
words themselves
illuminating
form
the title
page as
and causing the
snowflakes
pages to
into
stand at
distinct direction
attention.
of the moment
The gut
written?
gills, and then a second book stacks on top of the first. They read at an off-site events at AWP and immediately mesmerized me by the idea and their distinct voices
Interaction
playing
48.
a role of
Do you have any
simultaneously
suggestions for how
collaboration.
you'd like to start the collaborative project?
You take the active step to dim your coffee and the overhead lights, and you make faces and noises at the
I was in
rearranged
between
opposite
asleep and awake.
keyboard
I lie
strokes,
there in
the
between
pit
these
pattern
awarenesses,
of warm
one of
rain,
the world and
until you
some
can make
time.
sense of this
And one
particular
grasp
mass
after the
of wet
second,
or was
one loss of
vastness.
sobriety in the return
So
to
what
the world.
emerged was this beautiful two-voice script of yesterday, where sometimes the voices converged, where sometimes they diverged, where they competed for time and space, where
Interaction
they belonged
50.
together on
There
the
is
page
no
and at the
logic.
microphone. I'm sure you have just as many, if not more, stresses, but are you wearing
It
them
was like
differently?
covering a hulking statue in the ground around.
We highlight, not literally, the moments that inspired us and detach the moments that didn't. Dead skin.